Welcome back to the show. Well, you may recall just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about book clubs and how much fun they can be and how much you can learn. My next guest is a member of a really unique book club. I am joined by Derrick Simpson from the Ottawa Urbanism Book Club. Welcome. Great to have you here, Derrick.
Great to be here, Derrick.
Great name, first of all.
Always
a pleasure having another Derrick on the show. Talk to me a little bit about this club and a little history behind it, Derrick.
Yeah. So I'm part of an Ottawa Urbanism group chat where we discuss ideas for the city in ways we think we can improve it, and sometimes we complain a bit too. And we got together, and people were sharing books they were reading and had ideas from books. And I said, hey, why don't we start a book club? And we can, share our ideas, but we can also teach other people great ideas for Ottawa.
Right. And I guess part of your inspiration is that, you want Ottawa to be this more sustainable, more affordable city to live in, something that's been discussed by great lengths, I would say, over the past 5 years. This group, with that inspiration behind it, is that sort of the direction you go when you're looking for books to choose from?
Yes, that's 100% our inspiration. We look at books, and one of the ways we analyze them is we say, how can we take ideas from this and use it to the city of Ottawa? What's an email we can look at this and send to our councillors, or what can we talk to our neighbors about?
This is the book you're going to be discussing, right, coming up at your next book club meeting. Tell me about this particular book and why you chose it.
Yeah, so it's a book by a former professional engineer and city planner. So one of my favorite parts about the book is he doesn't take a political approach. It's not about left or right. It's not about urban versus suburban or people versus businesses. It's really about how can we build the best cities for everyone, for people to live in. So, examples of like, if we're gonna build a road, how do we make it so it's safe for people to drive on? And how do we make it so drivers can easily drive on it?
Yeah, and you mentioned that. That is something that's been talked about here in the city of Ottawa. I would say, probably exploded, about 2 months ago when the mayor himself went out to that Queen Elizabeth driveway portion, and then all heck broke loose, and people started, having this battle. Is your approach let's all work together, because from my experience, I'm a bike rider, but I also own a car. Like most people that own a vehicle, own a bike, they're also a pedestrian. Does the division around this frustrate you and your membership at all?
Yes, very much so. And that's part of why for our group, you don't have to have read the book to come. We think it's a great opportunity to get people who might not be immediately interested in urbanism or in the city of Ottawa to come join us and learn a little bit and, get away from the online battles that people get into and just talk with their neighbors.
Yeah, and so affordability is another big one. When you have your discussions and you're sitting around the room, I imagine you're throwing ideas, across the room with each other. What are some of those ideas that you think are unique that we haven't heard from, that we should hear from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the big points in this book would be, well, if you want affordability, sometimes you need more density or you need different ways of living. So perhaps if we have some land outside of the city, which is very expensive to build on, instead we take a parking lot maybe downtown that not a lot of people are parking on, and we build an apartment there where we build townhouses for families.
I have heard the opposite argument. What I have heard, Professor Ian Lee, for instance, I don't know if you know him, but professor that joins City News all the time, and he says that real estate downtown, that's more expensive. That if you price things out, that's why people are moving out to Stittsville and Carlton Place and these sort of places, and that's why we're not seeing the intensification necessary. Should the city be a part of that discussion then of purchasing? Oh, we just saw the city purchase a big piece of land, right, on Kilbourne. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes. So in a per land basis, it would be more expensive to say buy a lot downtown for maybe $5 million. But when hundreds of people can live on that lot, as opposed to maybe dozens in
Right.
a suburban setting, it's more affordable for the average person.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about some of the other books you brought along here. Are these some of the other books that you're looking at reading at the book club?
Yes, so we'll be holding a vote to see what
cool.
books
Okay.
we read next, but that one is by actually someone from Toronto. They wrote it, I think, in around the 1950s, and they were one of the first urbanists. They were big fighting against highways being built through people's houses and
Right.
things like that.
And obviously, Toronto didn't listen. Well, I'm just being honest, right? I mean, if anything, I'm honest. Here's a couple of more here. Street Fight. This is an interesting title.
Yes, so that book is, it's about how having streets for people, perhaps a wider sidewalk or a certain street that is closed for a festival can really help the city with its livability and also help businesses make more money.
Yeah, and I guess, you look at the Byward Market, that's going to be a big piece of conversation, and people have suggested, myself included, like, why don't we close down, and don't tweet at me. Like the York Street, why don't we build something like the Atwater Market that you see in Montreal? We're so afraid to do things that are a little bit bold sometimes in the city, and I guess that's what you're talking about, right? Let's be bold. If people want to join the book club, your next meeting is when and where?
So our next meeting is September 26th at the main library branch in room B125, and it's at 6:15 p.m.
And you just show up, no
Yeah,
pre-registration?
you can just show up. If you want, you can reach out to me on Twitter, but you can just show up. There's no RSVP needed.
Excellent, Derrick. Thank you so much. And you can have
Thank you.
conversations like we just had. Exciting conversations. We'll be back right after this. That's my